So when I was growing sunflower greens, I had a few that ended up getting pulled out by the roots, and so I just planted them in these pots. And I didn't want to put them in the soil straight away because we're getting frosts and stuff, but they seem to be making it. They use a lot of water, so I have to keep them watered like almost every day or they'll wilt. So I need to get them in the soil, but it's, you know, it's amazing. We got like 6 or 8 of them in there, and they're starting to make flowers, and so interesting. Cool. Mints, and this is my tray of spelt grass that I grew. You can see the little spelt seeds. Oh yeah. It just grows right out of that little hole thing, and it grows roots, and it's actually rooted down into here. So
that's where you keep your mint so it doesn't spread?
Yeah, that's where we keep the mint. This is spearmint. I really like the spearmint for flavoring things. We have a few different other mints, some peas. I was at a bee yard that we dropped off some bees, and they had these flowers. I saw the flowers last year, and I wanted to grab some seeds from the flowers, but all the seed pods were all broken. So I just dug up a clump with the forklift and brought it home. Hopefully we'll transplant some of them. I'm just kind of keeping it here and watering it right now. They seem pretty industrial, like they don't care if they have soil or not. They're probably bulbs or, you know, something like that, so they're pretty tough. So still have some things in here that were
look at the lemons.
So these are Meyer lemons. That's Donna's lemon tree. And all the cuttings and stuff that I do here in the greenhouse, I just put them in here and water them down. And these seem to mulch down, and the lemon tree seems to like that. So even lemon leaves, I'll put that down there. I think it's turning into soil. These are our peppers. And some more parsley, probably some celery. Donna grew a lot of flowers, so a lot of these in the back are flowers. These are nasturtiums. They have a peppery kind of radish flavored leaf. And some stevias. These are stevias that I had that made it through the winter. These are sweet potatoes, some different sweet potatoes. This sweet potato in particular, I cut off of, let's say, this plant right here and stuck it in the soil, and it's growing and making roots. I actually just chopped this off the other day and put it in my smoothie. If you go to Asian markets, you'll find in the green section that the sweet potato leaves are an Asian green that they use in their food. So, I mean, the sweet potatoes are more nutritious than regular potatoes. So it makes sense that the leaves are going to be, you know, good for us too. So this is tree kale. So it's a perennial. It won't make it through the winter. We bought these cuttings, and before we went to Port Townsend, I just put them in some peat moss and coconut coir. And so we'll need to repot them. We'll set them out in the garden when the frosts are over. But I guess we'll just take a cutting every fall and keep it going. So you just eat the leaves like a kale, but it's a perennial, so it's new for us. Tomatoes, a bunch of different tomato starts. All different kinds. They seem to be doing all right since we got them transplanted. We started them all in this tray, and I think that tray holds 250 plants. So, I mean, you can get a lot of starts in a small area. Yeah. And it's kind of fairly easy to keep track of what's going on. Usually I've been root pruning, but you can see the roots are actually just going down in the water. So we do have the heat mats on right now because tomatoes and things, they like that warmth for their roots. They don't like to get cold. Lemon tree I started from seed. These are moringas over here that I started from seed. These are a year old or so. in the bigger pots. This one here, it looked about like this with less leaves on it, and I just chopped it off as an experiment. And when I chopped it off, you can see that it's like producing all those little shoots.
Right.
So I'm gonna get all kinds of leaves. I wanted to wait before I chopped the other one off. It's interesting, see? I only planted one seed in this pot, but it makes shoots from the ground like figs. So a lot of people in Florida, they'll cut it right off at the ground, and then they'll get one or two more stalks that come out of it. It's an interesting tree. I think in Africa they get, I don't know, 200 feet tall and
wow.
6 feet across or something like that. They're a huge thing. And this is the one of Donans that I just grabbed a hold and pulled it out of the pot, ripped all the roots off, and I stuck it in that. And it was the first thing to start growing because I think it had so much more energy in that root ball, that tuber. And so I've been pruning it into my smoothies and stuff. This is tobacco. They're wild tobacco. They form pretty neat little blossoms.
Yeah.
And I would say that they're probably a healthier version of the tobacco that people smoke.
Oh yeah. None of the additives and chemicals and stuff they throw into there.
Right. Yeah, more tomatoes. These are quince that I started from seed. Stevia. Sweet potatoes. So these are purple sweet potatoes. And they're really dark purple. And even when you grate them up and put them in your salad and stuff like that, they still hold their color. So they're pretty interesting. I've been taking shoots and I just put the shoots in the soil and water them, and they make roots and start growing. These are more moringas. I started these in small pots from seed. You can see how the tuber wants to be big, but I'm limiting it in these little tiny pots. So a tall pot would be a lot better. Tall, skinny. And oh, so we've got Paul's figs. These are Desert King figs from Paul Gauchi's house.
These are the ones that I brought over the first time I was here in January, right?
Correct. This actually, it looks like we're really dry. It needs some water, so I'm gonna have to water that now that I see it. And this is Paul's fig.
Wow.
And this is Paul's as well, and it actually has another plant that went, that was in this potting mix that I was using.
Growing with it.
It's growing with it, and they're coming. Some of the better ones of Paul's are here. They got going a little sooner, so they're definitely alive and doing their thing. You just have such a small greenhouse, and I like to have so many plants that they kind of have to be jammed in here. And some of them aren't going to make it, and that's just kind of the way it has to be. Like, let's say this one, it's not going to make it.
Right.
So, there's a few of these that are still going. I went through them a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And these are all the ones that didn't look like they were going to make it. So it looks like this one here is actually going to make it. So I've got another one over there that's alive. So, and the stevia, I just took a cutting off of my stevia plant, ripped most of the leaves off, and stuck it in some peat moss, and it made roots, and now I have a new plant. So this is a Hardy Chicago. Now, it's the only one that made it. I had two cuttings, and this one, the other one sort of rotted. This one looks like I'm still hoping it's going to make it. It was growing sideways. It was trying to grow a couple of shoots, and it had roots on both ends, so I didn't want to destroy it. So I just put it in the pot sideways and left a place where one of its shoots could get out. And it, they really grow slow, so I'm hoping it's going to make it. What I've read about Hardy Chicago is they can freeze to the ground and still produce figs that year.
Wow.
So hopefully it'll work for us. And you know, I like to try new plants, and I love figs, so I love figs so much I drove down to California, took my freezer, and brought home 200 pounds of frozen figs in glass jars.
Really?
Yeah, so we have them. They're so good in smoothies because they make it creamy and sweet, and they're high in calcium, you know, whatever. It's just fresh food. Any fresh food is good.
That's aloe?
So those are aloe vera. They're a special variety. I got a lady in Florida to send me. She sent me the little pups, and I got them last summer, and they looked like they about filled out those pots. I wasn't sure if they were going to make it to start with. They were just like bare root that she sent me, and they're good. So
with that, you just snip off a piece of root and stick it into another pot?
no, when you want to make, when you want more aloe vera, the aloe vera plants have these little babies. They call them pups, and they come up beside the plant, and you just transplant that into a new pot. So they don't do seed, they just do like offshoots, like garlic kind of does.
And what are these?
So we can see that these are probably lettuces, cabbage family, red orac. These are basils because the way the leaves look. I don't know what those are, but they're in, you know, the cabbage family because the shape of the leaf. These look like, what is that? Mallow. These are probably mallows or malvas, because that's what the leaf looks like. And we grow this special mallow or malva that has these huge blossoms and big leaves, and they're really good for eating because they're mild. They kind of break down creamy in your mouth. Mulberry tree that I brought in for the winter. I've been eating the leaves, kind of pruning it back, and got some more mulberry leaves and some gojis. These are the rest of the gojis. Looks like they need some water.
That's something that I've been trying to find.
We'll send you home with some of those. Some more mulberries. These are figs, mission figs that I started myself last fall from my own tree. So they're doing their thing. They want to be set out in the soil, but I'm afraid for the cold right now. So probably in the next couple of weeks I'll start planting a few of those.
Why is there a bag on this guy?
So this was my experiment. I cut off of there and I stuffed it into the soil. So I have no idea if it's going to grow. The lady that was talking about it on the internet, she says you almost need an inch diameter for it to have enough energy to grow roots.
But why the bag?
So the bag was
Heat trap or something? Or?
to try and keep a little moisture in. You know, it's probably not going to work. So, but whatever, I tried.
Alright.
So yeah, it's just kind of like a little greenhouse to kind of keep moisture
I get
in.
it.
But if it was actually going to work, it'd need to be down to the pot.
Down to the right.
I just had the bag handy, and so I thought, oh, let's throw that on there.
See what happens.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
I'll take my chances. You know, people are like asking me about eating wild foods and stuff, and they're like, well, how do you know if what to eat or what's going to make you sick?
Try it.
And I tell them, you know, what's really going to make you sick is what you find in the supermarket. I'll take my chances out here.
Yeah.
Because, you know, lots of people end up getting sick and they're not eating fresh food from nature. So, I mean, yeah, I've eaten some things that, you know, make me feel a little nauseous or clean me out slick as a whistle, but I'm still alive, so what? It's worth a try, and that's how you learn. You know, if you watch the animals in nature, like if you feed a new leaf to a horse, the horse may chew it up and spit it out, but maybe later he'll come and eat a little bit of it, and then feel like, oh, okay, so that's okay, that's not going to kill me. And you watch the animals, there's trees, there's fruit trees, there's black walnut trees, and look at all the trees out in nature. Everything that the animals can eat off of the tree, there's no leaves anymore. So obviously those are nutritious for animals. Why not just watch what the animals are doing and do the same? So those are garlics.
Garlics?
Yep.
Okay.
These are garlics. These are some cabbages that we had planted earlier this year. And we put these little covers on them to start with. And we found that if we use a little bamboo stake, the wind can blow and they don't blow off. So that seems to be a handy way to get them started. And
like a little greenhouse.
yeah.
That is cool.
I just took them off, so they're actually a little scorched by the sun, because any single layer of plastic kind of blocks that sun energy from them, and so they didn't like that too much. But we threw a piece of apple in here, and the bugs eat that instead of plants because they were trying to eat our plants. Austrian winter peas. And the garlics, I actually just planted a garlic last spring and didn't bother digging them, and then you can see they're making babies off the sides and all that stuff. This is where we're going to plant our tomatoes. This is another growing bed in the middle. Donna was going to use it for lettuce. We'll see what we do with it. And those two far mounds out there are where we grew melons and squash last year.
Do you ever do like corn?
So we planted a little bit of corn over there where that
that's right.
apple bin is, and there was the corn stalks, and they went through the chipper. So we grow corn, but we don't really eat corn. So
You don't?
we like to grow stuff, and we don't eat very much.
Is there a reason why you don't like corn, or you don't eat corn?
I ate like one fresh half a cob of corn, and it was all right, but there's just so many things that I want to eat, and I'd rather have tomato sandwiches, and corn doesn't go with tomatoes. And so, and then there was watermelons, and I'm eating watermelons like crazy, and cantaloupes, and it's like I'm not hungry for corn, but it's still interesting growing it, you know, watching it do its stuff. It's sweet corn, and I took the corn and shucked it, or actually husked it and dehydrated it, so they're still on the cob, and I'm sure that in a starvation situation you could live off of them.
Oh yeah.
So, and they'll keep forever.
Hey little baby. Why the tape measure? Were you just setting up the hoops or something?
Yeah, I used the tape measure, but it actually broke and wouldn't rewind anymore. It wouldn't record. Thank you.
So you do these every 3 feet?
Yeah, that's about what I was going for. And I don't know if we're actually going to cover. We may cover. We did our cabbage bed last year with a cover on it, and it seemed to help keep the aphids and stuff away. For some reason in this area, a couple of times a year we'll just have all kinds of aphids just fly in, like they get in my teeth if I'm breathing. There's so many in the air. So, and they like to land on cabbage family plants. They don't bother our lettuces, they don't bother anything but the brassicas. So a cover on here is just a poly cover, and we got some of our bigger variety cabbages were 17 pounds last year, like, you know, big old heads. So we like to make sauerkraut. And so these are the branches that I just cut off and stuck into the soil here.
Branches of?
The goji berries.
Oh, okay.
So these are the goji berries, the one that produces really good fruit, lots of fruit. And this one here was, you know, probably not the healthiest ever, but it looks like it's going to grow too. So some of them didn't make it. I did it, oh, September or so. So it was actually pretty late in the year, and they still ended up living, most of them. I mean, all these were shoots that I cut off.
You just cut off like a whole branch off of one of those and just stick it right in the ground.
Yep. I tore all the leaves off till it was just bare branch. Nothing, no stems, no nothing. And you can obviously see there was no bushes here, and I just stuffed them in a couple lines. And they seem to grow. So once you got them, you know. And you don't have to buy any more. It's just like if you want a new variety or something, you can buy some more, or if you have a friend that has them, you don't even have to dig them out of the ground, just take a cutting.
Now, how long until this one guy here will be like this?
Well, those have only been in the soil 2 years. I bought them 2 years ago in the spring and planted them. Maybe this time of year, maybe later in the summer.
Okay.
In the first year, they actually produced fruit. When I bought the plants, I bought like 12 of them or something like that. Gave one to my in-laws, and it's about this tall right now. These were all kind of crazy tall, but they were falling all over the place, so I just chopped them back. Hopefully I get to it this year. I want to make a trellis here, like a V-type trellis with ropes, because when the berries get heavy, they want to fall over to the sides, and when they fall, then they're kind of down here, and if you water, then they stay wet, and the birds want to get them and whatever. So.
Is this from? Is that like a?
Oh, that's a goji berry flower. Yeah, the first one. You saw the first one.
Yay!